Morning, it's Martin's Engine Services. Just thought I'd have a quick look at, or let you all have a quick look at the Mg3 clutch replacement. The part should be with me next couple of hours, so late morning this afternoon I shall simply reassemble. Much as I expected, it all came apart very easily. So great access to everything, there was no nasty surprises, and everything was very well laid out. There's four main bell housing bolts, and they weren't messing around because they used these great big M12 bolts. There's three M10s under the bottom, all easy to get to, and there's no horrible Torxes used on this whatsoever. It's good old, huge, solid hexagon-headed bolts, and basically it was a huge procedure, drive shafts, bits and pieces. Now the gear change, there's a bracket here. There's a bracket here which sits on top of the gearbox at the back here. This also has a cable here for the starter motor. It's got the old quick release connections on the end, which are pretty robust. There are some plastic clips here, like horseshoe shape. Martin's at it again. Horseshoe shaped clips which retain the gear change into these brackets. Now I couldn't work out how to undo these, and I thought, well, simplest answer is just pop the bracket straight off the gearbox. That one you have to take off because behind there is actually a bolt for the starter motor. The M8 bolt goes that way. There's one other M8 bolt on the bottom starter which comes this way, which is easy to get to, and the starter motor just stays there, no problem. Now I didn't bother unclipping this piece of gear linkage either because there's another bracket here bolts to the box, top of the gearbox, with the shift linkage and everything built on it. So undo the four bolts and simply remove the whole assembly, and you've got nothing here to get caught up on anything on the way out. So I thought, simplest answer. There's the nice slave cylinder, which is obviously leaking a bit. I think the extreme amount of force required to actually move this very seized clutch, which I shall come back to in a moment, caused this. But you can see it's a good robust cast iron unit, bolt on pipe, no silly plastic connections, all metal. So, and I say it was a very inexpensive part. I think it was under £30 with about £32 for the complete assembly. So that's not quite very acceptable price. So the rest of it was nice and straightforward. Just did that and it slid out. Nothing got in the way. You can leave the top engine mount here actually. Undo the three bolts. There's three bolts in the alley. Two round here and the one there. Unlike some manufacturers, you like to put these bolts under here, easy to get to. Leave this here, lower the engine slightly, and there's stacks of space for the gearbox to come out. So really is very nice to get apart. The rear mounting, say very similar to a Ford setup or a lot of other manufacturers. Three bolts holds the bracket on the floor to that. One through bolt, you can leave that where it is, nothing in the way. The ECU is actually made onto the He's actually got these security bolts onto the battery tray bracket, and quite easily there's one multi-plug down here, see that one down here, a couple of the wires, and you simply move the whole wiring loom with the ECU attached as a unit out the way. Very interesting, they put the chassis number on the battery tray. I guess that's when they assemble them because the ECU is probably already made on there or something like that. Really irrelevant really, but there we go. And so yeah, it all comes out the way. A couple of other wires, you can just move them, and there's just nothing in the way. So fantastic. We got some more of these really good to the point warning stickers here, but like that Kia I did the other day. We've got the decapitation of not just the fingers this time, it's the whole hand being munched into the belt. We got fire, we got respiratory problems, and all manner of nice little safety warnings, and they do seem to like to get to the point. So let's show you what happened with the clutch or the flywheel. See, just quickly, there was nothing wrong with the flywheel at all. I've given it a little clean up, and there's no hot spots on it, no marks, nothing, and there is literally no wear at all. That groove you can see there is just a machining groove where they actually machined it, so that's it. Now the clutch itself had, considering the fact that this has been fried basically by the seize mechanism, release mechanism. Still has some reasonable life on it. It's not down to the, it's not worn through completely there. Maybe a little worse this side, but still good. Springs are all intact inside. Pressure plate's got some hot spots on. A couple there, but not grooved or anything. No significant wear on any of the fingers. They all feel fine. They're all level. And there's still good tension when unbolted it. You see this, that's the official and the sash unit. And the clutch plate itself is sash again, and it's got Saik Motor Company's own label on it. I have recent quite good suspicion that this is actually the same as the Vauxhall, similar to the Vauxhall stock car engine clutch cover I use, because it's got the same 11mm bolts on that GM used with the shoulders on, no dowels holding it on the flywheel, and I guess they're quite generic, but so it all seems to be in pretty good order. Now I'll show you exactly what the problem actually is. Sitting over here on the bench we have the gearbox. No, mine's got the words again. It's a nice robust little unit. It's not too heavy, it's a little bit lighter than a Ford unit, but so it's manageable. It's all in pretty good order in here. There's no wear on here, no wear on the splines, no end float. All turns nicely. What it does have is 3 plastic bushes on the clutch release shaft. There's one bush goes into the top, comes in from the top downwards. So another one clips into here this way, and then this bush sits in this hole at the bottom here. Now this is where the problem lies. This bush hole here, you can see my finger through it, is actually open at the bottom to the elements, which is a bit of a weird design. What seems to happen is that the water's worked its way up, and here is the ST, and here is the bush that went in the bottom, and you can see the amount of aluminium corrosion on it, and it had basically crushed the bush onto the shaft. The shaft had also corroded, and it basically seized the mechanism up. I had to saw this to get it out, and I've cleaned the hole out. Now the shaft itself is this very, very robust, rather well engineered assembly, which obviously slides in from the top, and it then slides onto the release fork. Sits in like that, and there are actually 2 bolts, not one. They've used 2 bolts to hold it in, which is very impressive. I don't know whether this fork has bent or not, but it has got a slight curve to it. And I say they're about £12 with the VAT, and the MG specialist did say that they always change this because they have found in the past they tend to bend a little bit here, and of course that alters the angle of the whole assembly, and of course will throw the point of movement out. So for what that costs, I'm not going to take a chance. Likewise, I'm replacing these 2 bolts. Now both these bolts were actually slightly loose, and it sort of shows up. That one has got a slight bend in it where it was working against the load. Again, I think these are like 50p each or something stupid. So obviously I replaced all that, and all that. Now the shaft itself cleaned up fine. It had a bit of corrosion on it, but it's a nicely made piece of steel. It's good quality steel, and so it's fine. So it's definitely robust, because that's what, it's about sort of 15mm, 16mm diameter. So they weren't messing around when it comes to clutch operating mechanism. And likewise, the actual clutch arm on the top, where the slave cylinder sits, again is a nice cast iron item, not a piece of pressed steel. It's a nice unit, well made, and it's very robust. So it's all pretty straightforward to assemble. So the rest of the gearbox, and I haven't cleaned this is how it came out. That shift linkage sits on the back here, engages in here, gives you the up and down movement, and then you've just got the selection there, typical most manufacturers. Reverse sensor sits here, gearbox mount there, sort of thing. It does have actually a gear position sensor. Must be to do with the ECU and various bits and pieces. There's no speedo because it's electronic, of course. There is actually no provision for a speedo gear to have been in here at some point. So I guess this gearbox must have been fitted to other models or came from something, I don't know. Likewise, there's an additional gearbox mounting on the bottom here with it's cast but the holes aren't drilled, so we'll never know. The filler plug for the oil is here. Again, no silly little hexagons, nice great big square plug, so that's easy to get to. You've got loads of room up in the engine bay, so the bulkhead's right out here. Funnel the pipe, jobs are good, and so yeah, it's a nice little gearbox, nice little unit. So everything comes out easy. Clutch slaves and the bolts on here. Again, 2 robust bolts. Broke a couple of wire clips off. Got to find a couple of clips to replace that. And that's about it, really. It's kind of got a hint here of Volkswagen. That's very VW looking with that. This is very GMW looking here. And it's very GM in the layout of the stud pattern here, so who knows these days. But no, I'm saying it came out very easily. Nice straightforward job, no horrors. Say good sized bolts, no Torxes. So it should be nice and simple to put back. See, the amount of working space is a pleasure compared to others. And I don't think it'll take too long to get back together. So we'll put it back in, nice fresh oil. And at least you haven't got the worry of the concentric slave cylinder leaking or getting a new one and it leaks. I've been there with that one for a few times now with Vivaros and things, and I'm getting nervous of that. That's why when they wanted the clutch done, I said we're getting all the parts from the specialist, all original SAIC components as made for the vehicle. I'm not buying anything that isn't a genuine. And that's going to be my policy now with clutch components. They're going to have to be original parts, and that's it. Just a bit of tea there, keep things going. So that's where I'm at with the MG anyhow. So it's been a very interesting job, and I'm quite looking forward to putting it back together again. So, and get that done. And I'm just waiting for, say, the bit should be here with me any moment. It's quite a nice morning again this morning. It's dry, it's bright, and very chilly last night. I had to resort to lighting my log burner last night. I gave up with all that man up. It's not that cold business. Thought I'm lighting that. So, leave a nice view of the garden, all looking very nice. And so I'll await the parts, and I shall carry on with it. So thanks very much indeed for watching. Please like and subscribe. Viewing numbers are marching up towards the 20,000 now, which is really exciting. I can't wait to get there. That's going to be a fantastic achievement. So if you think of anybody you might like to watch one video, just give me one thumbs up. I really would appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed for viewing, and bye for now.